Oh my God. Which brings me to your latest work, because the last time we were speaking, we touched on the subject of diversity, equity, and
Yeah,
inclusion.
yeah,
And then you then sent me a note about Take Your Seat, because part of what
yeah,
we literally wanted to cover, which we've covered, is leading a business through a crisis, and now just how do businesses develop a level of consciousness, particularly now when the world is so not aware, but is so willing to look at last at those inequalities.
yeah.
So can you walk me through how Take Your Seat happened,
Sure,
and how your business is
sure,
responding, I guess, to the complete climate?
sure. I'm so excited about this. I can't even tell you, man. So when the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor things happened, around the same time, there was marching and there were a lot of things happening. But the way I put it, and only way I can say it is, dumb me. I woke up white the next morning. I really woke up white the next morning after George Floyd, and I went, I'm white. I've never woken up white before. I never woke up and went, I'm a white dude. What does that mean that I'm a white dude? And it's like, I don't have to fear. I get pulled over by cops sometimes for 5 miles over or whatever.
Yes.
I don't ever worry about it. I don't even think about it. I'm nice to the cop. The cop's nice to me,
Yes.
Anyway, I just started thinking like, well, what is my sphere of influence? Like, how can I'm happy to march. I did not march at the time because of COVID.
Yes.
But I was like, I could go march. My kids were marching. Like, I thought, we need some actions we need allyship and we need actions from people. And so, my people at my agency were like, you need to put out a statement, and I was like, nobody wants to hear from me. Trust me. No one's looking to hear what I have to say about this. What they want are actions from people like me.
Yes.
That's what they want. They would much rather in 6 months we went, here's what we did, than, platitudes or whatever. But I did write a statement because I wrote a statement for my people as much as for anything, because I felt like they really needed to know the stand in the matter that we were taking.
Got it.
And that's why I wrote it. So within that, I said, we're going to look for actions, not words. And like, we just do Take Your Seat, but we donated we have this really beautiful office space in downtown Raleigh, and we have this big kind of panoramic window, and we donated that to the local North Carolina ACLU, and we donated some strategic help to them to try to redefine defund the police, which I find to be the worst marketing I've ever heard in my life. I think defund. I know there are people that mean defund the police, like get rid of the police.
Yes.
But I don't think that's the general meaning of defund the police. It means resource the police,
Yes.
retrain, rethink the police, right?
Yes.
It's a much less threatening way to say it, I think. So defund the police is just a hammer for people who don't believe. Somebody pointed this out to me the other day. I'm digressing a little bit, but have you noticed you haven't seen one time someone say "Stop all hate"?
That is true.
In reference to Stop Asian Hate.
That is true.
Why aren't people going "Stop all hate"?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
So anyway, we did that. We did a few other things. So I was on the board of this organization in New York called One Club,
Yes.
which is the One Club for Creativity. Fantastic. I've been on for 20 years. I was the chairman for 5 years, and very tight with the leadership there. I've been on a long time. It's kind of like being in the Senate. Like once you're voted in, you never get voted out, And Kevin Swanepoel, the CEO, just said, hey, if you've been on a long time, if you want, you could resign and name the bylaws of this club, or you could actually name your successor. They don't have to go through. We could just literally the next day have somebody filling your board seat. Would you want to do that and nominate a Black executive? I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. And so we called another guy, Steve Sandstrom, and said the same thing. And Steve was like, yes. I put Steve on the board like 15 years ago, So we both gave up board seats for Black executives, and we put two just ridiculously kick-ass Black executives on the board of the One Club. So easy. And I went, that was easy. How could that have been easier, And so I came back and I thought, and I think Alexis Ohanian had done something similar at Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And posted something on Instagram. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to post a video on Instagram, and I'm going to challenge all of my C-suite friends to do the same. I'm just going to say, hey, give up a seat. Like, it's easy. And one of my creative directors said, why don't you use the hashtag #TakeTheSeat? And I went, that's a really great phrase. Why don't we start a company called Take Your Seat that's dedicated to that? That's getting people to give up, earmark, or make room for Black executives in the board. And I'll tell you why Black executives.
Yeah.
It's not just because of George Floyd. We feel like Black executives are the domino that can tip over all D&I. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is D&I tends to get taken over by white women. Mm-hmm. Like you get a board. We've literally heard from people. Well, we have a woman on the board, so we're really hitting the D&I hard. And you're like, well, that's wonderful. That's great. You should definitely do that. Yes. But we need Black voices in the room. And our feeling was maybe we can create systemic change faster by getting Black voices into those decision-making conversations. Mm. And boards tend to be old boy networks for the most part. I mean, that's not true in every case. And there's public boards and private boards and nonprofit boards. There's a lot of different kinds of boards. But we thought, we need to get Black voices representing being Black on board. Mm. And so it started there. It's gotten so much bigger. And I had this idea. I called a really good friend of mine who was an ex-client and who has a P&E company here in town called One Better Ventures, John Replegal. And I was like, John, here's what we're thinking of doing. Would you like to be a part of it? And he goes, you're not going to believe it, but we were just having the same conversation. Wow. And so they got on board, and we immediately then started looking for Black leadership to actually run it, because we want this to be a Black-run company, Black-owned and run company. Mm-hmm. And so we hired a woman named Jerusha Stewart, who is just a magic. She's magic. You must meet her and talk to her. Okay. You got to get her on this.
Okay.
She's incredible. I'll introduce you. But she of course brought a Black point of view to it and saw many things that John and I didn't see. Yes. And it's turned into something much bigger than give up a seat, earmark a seat, make room. It's become a much bigger thing.
Wow. Well, I look forward to seeing what it becomes, because as soon as you sent me that link, I thought I've got a girlfriend who's based in Ghana, and she mm-hmm. runs an outfit called Boardroom Africa. Mm. And I think it's about,
definitely connect.
Yeah, I think that when you connect me with your person, I will connect them and we'll make the circle bigger and just continue to build out this community. Because there are two things. I hold a positive and a contrarian view about diversity, the responsibility of diversity being placed on the shoulders of a Black person. And I'll tell you why. Because as somebody who's been Black, senior, the youngest, and alone, my experience was until the complete ecosystem adjusts to embrace my diversity, then I'm only just going to be this lone wolf in the forest just screaming at everybody. So I think the first part, yes, it's important to have diversity driven by somebody who has that lived experience, but I think parallel to that would be to hold corporates to account about how they're going to alter the culture to accommodate and be a lot more inviting, a lot more supportive. Because what tends to happen in South Africa is someone like me will be appointed either the chief marketing officer of a multinational banking brand, and in 3 years then you're told you're not a culture fit, and nobody says this is how we didn't adjust the culture to accommodate your difference or your uniqueness or things like that.
Right. So you're seeing exactly what Jerusha saw. Okay. So Jerusha came in and said, guys, it's about relationships. It's not about, we just need to get a Black person in that room having Black conversations. That's hugely important.
Yes.
It's about creating relationships that make these things possible, and relationships at all levels. And so what we actually did instead was started a community site that's bringing together board influencers, CEOs, and C-suite candidates for boards, and then what we call the ready to be ready. Yes. There's a ton of candidates out there that are just on the cusp of being ready for board service, but they're not there yet. And it's not that they're not there yet from an experience. They don't have the right resume. Maybe they haven't aimed themselves at it. They don't know what boards do. Like, there's a lot of education that needs to happen there.
Yes.
But you're hitting exactly what Jerusha saw, which was, so we're creating things that we're calling reciprocal mentorships, where You can be mentored. You can be mentored as a senior person looking kind of to find out more about what's happening in a company or what's happening in culture, just as much as they're mentoring you on how to be on a board, And so that's exactly what we're hitting now, and it's been a magic carpet ride, I have to tell you. Wow. And you can't not be uplifted in these conversations and in these meetings. It's incredible.
Wow. Well, I am really looking forward to meeting your colleague, and like I say, I'll join her up with the guys at Boardroom Africa. So I'm aware of my time check because I promised you 45 minutes. So I'm not going to keep you for anything longer. I have one question two questions to ask you before I let you go. The first one is, what are you hoping the world becomes now that we've all lived through this horrible thing called COVID? I mean, I don't think that we'll ever, there'll ever be a time where it's over. But what are you hoping we have learned just as humanity and as business leaders during this time? And then the second one is, this platform is called Coming Full Circle. What does Coming Full Circle mean to David Baldwin?
I'll answer the first one first,
okay.
Which is what I think is going to happen in the world. It's a very scary time right now, and I think COVID has caused some of the fear. COVID's not going away, by the way. I think it's going to turn into an annual flu shot, right? I mean, we're going to get our COVID shot every year now as well.
Yes.
I just don't think it's going anywhere, and so. But that said, in any tragedy is opportunity. And so you always have to look for the positivity and the opportunity of what you can do. And like I said, it's been very productive for me. It's been very productive. So I think I can only speak into what I've learned is, I've learned a new level of accountability with my own people. A, for me to be accountable to them, and B, giving them, like being dispersed and being on Zooms, everybody has to be accountable to what they do. And it's been magical to watch them do it. And in a way, I've let go in a way that I never thought that maybe I could. I'm not saying I was ever a control freak, but I definitely was in everything, And I've always been a pretty good delegator, but also still kind of in everything. And I've learned through this, like, man, you have some smart people. Let those smart people do their thing. Make yourself available for them when they need you. But let them do their thing, and it becomes so much more efficient, and I think they get their lives out of it. I hope. I mean, you should ask them; maybe they hate it, but I don't think so. But I think that's what I've learned. So I've come out of this thinking, like, I used to think of I've always said a company is not a building. A company is a culture. It's a group of people, and one person can come in and screw that up. One person can come and light it on fire. You know what I mean? But it is a group of people. That's what a company is. And so to transition to the full circle thing is knowing your values, understanding your values, and not getting away from them. And I wrote in the book, and I always forget, and I wrote this in the book, I always forget who said it, but it's the wonderful saying of growth for growth's sake is the philosophy of the cancer cell. We've never been a growth for growth's sake company. We've always been very strategic, targeted, organic, and what we are interested in as a company. And that has not changed, but that's based on our value system. And that is a value system of, we're not just going to take anybody's money just to take the money. And that to me is full circle, is like, always remember your values. They will always lead you through the rocky waters, man. Always.
Yes. Oh my word. So thank you ever so much. Thank you for just giving of your time and your heart and your wisdom. I'll tell you what's going to happen after this. Once it's been edited, I will probably edit it to 2 episodes. I'll send you copies. You can use it as you choose. Sure. But I'm going to look out for your email for the intro to your Take Your Seat person, and then I'll keep my word and just connect them. And please, let's stay connected in whichever way possible. But thank you so much for today.
Hey, by the way, it's pounding rain right now. While we started talking, can you hear it?
No.
Oh, good. Okay, because it was sunny when we started this, and now it's raining like crazy. So I've got glass like skylights, and they're just like, it's making so much noise. So I'm glad you can hear it.
Oh, fantastic! Well, in our culture, rain is blessing. So may they continue to rain upon you. But I really do wish you courage and clarity. And until next time, stay safe.
Thank you so much.
You take care. Thanks. Bye, David.